Hello and welcome everyone. This is Blackadder at Blackadder's Place for the second time today. I've already streamed the Age of Empires Nations Cup some hours ago, if you were watching. A pretty great games against Japan from USA, so USA versus Japan, and today in the evening we're going to be continuing with some Age of Mythology. So players are ready. They are going to be today original Jester and Persia Mahdi. Going to be playing in the round of 16 of the Vanilla Championship hosted by AoL Destroyer. And yeah, well, whatever, I screwed it up anyway. GLHF in there. So it's going to be Alfheim as the very first map. That's going to be a home map of HUT-17, aka Persia Mahdi. So, well, curious how they are going to be playing, of course, because I don't really know either of those players all that much. I don't even think that I've actually streamed them in the qualifications, so I actually think that this is going to be the very first stream of them for me, at least. So the civilizations are going to be set for a HUT and original Jester. That's going to be Poseidon. Well, since we are on Alfheim as the home map of the set player of HUT, yeah, it's kind of expected that he would be choosing this map, and I'm kind of thinking that the potential second home map and in the game 3 would be Watering Hole as well, because that's another pretty strong Egyptian map. In the meantime, of course, I'm just right now going to be having a look around. He's having some chickens and cows at the very back, with the gold also being in the back position, so that's kind of alrightish for an Egyptian, of course. He's going to be happy about that. And otherwise, back TC, good position. Although it doesn't capture much of a gold, the gold nearby is there, but we must look on the other side of the map, where, of course, there's this very nice cliff. There is actually guarding 2 gold mines. 2 gold mines for an Egyptian. He can just put the wall here and he's absolutely safe with the gold for like the rest of the game. Those 2 gold mines are going to be super for him, and trade route from here to the TC in there. This is very good spawn of a map for an Egyptian. As the first relic for 200% house hit points, shingles of steel, not bad at all. Especially if he's going to be using, for example, houses for walling about this part of the map as he's scouting around, with the cows as well, going for a bit of chasing of the Kataskopos with the Wolfie, and apparently the Wolfie is not as fast, 5 and Kataskopos 5.5, so of course he's going to be running away from him. So cows going to be converted all the time for both of the players, and of course there is going to be extra hunt on the left. Next to the TC there is, I think, basically front of original Jesters. Yeah, it definitely is. It's kind of, well, it's not really good for map control as far as some kind of middle of the map or whatnot, as is basically this TC from HUT, but you mustn't forget that there are also gold mines here again, basically the same as under the cliff. They are also above the cliff, 1, 2, and even 3. Well, it's not really that safe. Those 2 are going to be definitely a whole lot safer, but we mustn't forget there's one on the way. So if actually original Jester does go for the town center on the left, he's going to be a pretty good spot to control tons of gold, the same as his opponent. Other TC on the other side of the map, not really guarding anything, so potentially trade route. But he can set it up both ways. He can go from here to this TC, on from about this way to this TC. It doesn't really matter all that much. This is going to be both quite available for him. Otherwise, inside his base, good protection of the gold, of course. Even though it's not at the back, it's going to be quite fine because of the wood line in there. So far having enough wood in the back for him, and there's probably going to be plenty of it somewhere else across the map, exactly as he's already going for the temple, drawing some animals next to the lure, and that means that he's still having quite enough economy for himself, as he's already also on the hunt in the front, and from this position he's probably gonna have to go somewhere back. This deer is just going to be stolen from his opponent, probably, it seems like. Or maybe it's just from this hunt, I'm not sure. It's having some kind of weird route, so maybe it was coming from here. Yeah, it seems like that it was actually stolen from HUT, as he is converting some of the animals all across the map, and hoping that it's going to be helping him in the early aggression, as, unfortunately for him, another animal is going to be stolen from his hunting spot. Yeah, he was having about 3. Right now he's down to 2, as the one is going to be moving around. And this is actually a pretty good spot, because if he notices this, I think it would be a pretty good idea from those villagers to actually catch it, instead of letting it go somewhere far away. So let's see if actually he's noticing. Yeah, he does. He actually really does. That's nice. It's nice that he actually noticed it. That was pretty important, because otherwise it would be going all the way back to the TC. And I'm kind of thinking that those villagers might be already halfway thinking about switching into some other resource, as we are at 4 minutes. Wallen is coming up, so we would be expecting advances in some reasonable timing. So Temple coming down for Hut, that means that he's going to be advancing way later than his opponent, but he's an Egyptian, of course, so we would be expecting, as I said, he's probably gonna go into faster heroic, as usually in this tournament so far. In the vanilla tournament, the Egyptians go. Basically all of them. That's going to be Ship of Fingernails for some food per second. Ship of Fingernails. Just the name and the effect. Just good old Ensemble Studios with the wacky names of all this, and also, of course, of the songs from the sound score of this game. So Archer and Troll gold cost and wood cost down. It's actually not bad. I think that does work on Slingers. And since actually Set is quite reliant on barracks units, that could be coming handy. Not exactly sure if it's working on Chariot Archers as well. I kinda think that it does. As the Remise is in at 5:15, that's pretty decent time. But yeah, Hut should be advancing slightly slower, and this guy definitely should be empowering, for example, the gold or whatever he wants to empower, but definitely shouldn't be standing there like that. I think he has scouted already enough, as he's converting all the wolfies that are available across the map in here. As we are looking also at some further scouting by the wolf on the left side, and still basically walls coming up absolutely everywhere from original Jester. So he's maybe expecting some full-on aggression from the Persia Mahdi, aka Hut. Kinda interesting. We'll be really expecting that it could be the other way around, that original Jester will be the one who will be aggressive, especially as a Poseidon. Better 10% villager speed, that's a very good one, Kithara of Apollo. That's gonna help him. As of course he's picking up. That was the relic for, well, I already forgot, so let's wait what the message is going to be. Already don't remember what it was. And quite a lot defensive build-up in here. I will be... This is kind of weird. This doesn't make much sense at all, to be honest. It's... Especially since you cannot even put the gate in there, I think. Because, of course, the most obvious wall would be here. Since he will be capturing all of this part of the map on the left with all the golds and whatnot. Yeah, it's a relic for the extra house hit points. So this wall is not really useful at all. Because what's gonna happen in here? Potentially some farms a bit later. If he's radiant or whatnot, it could be helping. But still, the first wall definitely should have come here. And then, well, apparently he's just right now going to be dropping some wall chips around the tower and hoping that it's gonna protect him enough. And maybe potentially even let him be in there as he is. Shift inside in and about 3 villages, if I see things correctly. Yes, he is. It's going to be 3 villages dead right now for blue. And that's of course quite unfortunate. And that's because of this wolfie. And I'm not sure where he actually stole them from. I think he did steal them from about this hunt. Or hunt, well, you don't really hunt chickens all that much. Of course, food gathering there. And otherwise the gold is still alright. But both are playing this very, very defensively. Which could be signaling that both are actually quite respectful of each other. So it could be a very equal match overall in the game. So Armory for Set. The faster hero is going to be incoming for him, as he's basically putting walls absolutely everywhere. Very defensive one. Very, very defensive one, even though he doesn't need to all that much. Some fresh horses are finally going to be coming into his base, and he potentially could have prevented them by walls about here. Yeah, you just use the buildings in there and the stragglers, and he would have been quite safe indeed. But right now, of course, it's going to be a bunch of problems for him. Barracks, I don't think they should be finished. I think right now that actually original Jester should have followed to try and disrupt the villager, maybe even kill him altogether, because he doesn't have a way to escape to the tower. He would have to go all the way here. So even if he lost some villager, or rather some Hippicon to the tower, he definitely could have killed this really, delayed the barracks. That would be going his way quite a long way. But well, that didn't happen. Some priests are going to be the next unit of choice for the red player, as blue is just right now going to be trying to control the map, going to be running all around and hoping that he will be controlling those TCs, and majorly the one on the left with all the gold mine next to it, all the gold mines next to it. Well, so what's going to be the plan here? Definitely just waiting for the priest to get killed. He's unfortunately going to be spelling his own doom, because of course those horses are having like no point of view. They barely see anything at all. Yeah, he doesn't have the upgrade for them. for the extra line of sight for Poseidon. So unfortunately, this priest, he definitely could have survived there, as Blue didn't know about him, but unfortunately that's not gonna happen anymore, and he probably is gonna die. So this Hippicon pursuing him. Alright, so moving forward, going to be trying to raid. Oh, this one is definitely toast. Or definitely. It seems like that he actually let him escape a bit. So it seems like he will survive, he will be surviving. He actually sped up quite significantly. You can see that he basically like started running or what, or whatnot, as he was trying to stay in formation with the other villagers. Well, that was quite unfortunate, of course, for original Jester, because the villager is just 380, Hippicon is 550. He definitely should have killed him and caught up with him. But yeah, unfortunately, because of the extra bonus that he somehow got through the game mechanisms, he was just able to run away from the for the horses, and they are right now going to be dying under the TC fire. So middle stronghold, as finally the walls are up in proper way. They're going to be targeting this gold mine, of course, and it's going to be reasonably safe, really. This is an absolutely great map for an Egyptian, for a defensive-minded Egyptian on top of that. And this is a good switch into Toxots. They are definitely going to be needed. Again, some potential spearmen that might be coming up against his horses, but otherwise, basically, you can see that Hut is giving up all the map control. He's going to be letting the Poseidon to travel all across the map, do whatever he wants. Kind of idols in there, and still the lure is actually active, but I don't think that it has any more animals to actually steal. Potentially it still can. You can see there are 3 guys that could be still taken by the lure, but somehow, for some reason, they aren't. Maybe they're just exceeding the hit points or whatnot, not really sure, that are available on the lure. But yeah, you will probably have to delete it a bit later to make place for the farms. Anyways, those guys are definitely waiting for the TC, as we are looking at the curse, and that was little armor in there, but against them will be coming the ancestors, and unfortunately, that is just Hippolyte, I think. That Zeus is not really present. I'm not exactly sure where he is. Maybe he's in the base, and it seems like that even the Hippolyte is gonna get killed through the gangbang of all the ancestors in here, and that definitely will result in good defense. And I would be really thinking, looking at the villagers, on capturing the TC in the front. But it was... I don't think it was really all that well timed by original Jester, but Hut definitely used the opportunity and is going to be taking advantage of that as much as he can, and it's gonna be working for him very well. Second TC also gonna be captured by Blue, of course, exactly by the village that we have seen a bit before. Already having some villagers waiting for this TC as well. So yep, it's still basically confirming that this game might be quite equal as far as the player skill goes, so we are probably going to be in for interesting late game. This is actually pretty important, the kill Pharaoh, because without the killed Pharaoh, those Hippicons can be significantly lower in the hit points of the TC, whereas with him, I kinda think that they wouldn't be able to do so all that much, especially with the camels right now coming up, trying to kill them, and we are at this stage missing medium Hippicons, as that's a very cheap upgrade, basically just like a few horses worth. And it definitely makes up for its cost very soon in the battles. So coming back, right now I kind of think that the next stage should be probably trying to put a wall about here, somehow to control this part of the map, so that he's potentially not as susceptible to some surprise attack from this side. But yeah, the first course of action is definitely going to be trying to finish with the TC, but he should be sending a lot more villagers. It's unfortunately for him not having anything nearby, so this is going to be quite tricky, and well, original Jester is doing what he can to try and deny it, but he's not going to be successful, as yep, right about now the settlement is up, and that's already a small victory, of course, for Hut, who is right now at 3 potentially TCs. He's still at 2, but he does have a 3-way for the 30C, and this one in the middle was super important because, of course, it's in the middle of the map, and it's going to be controlling a whole lot of ways around to either of the bases. So, of course, he's going to be in pretty good position to maybe even spam mercenaries from it if he wants to, and if he has the resources for that, which he should be because of the gold mine on the left. Right now, the same gold mine opportunity is actually captured by original Jester because of the TC. So both are having very equalish map as far as gold goes and its protection. So it's not a really bad spawn at all, as he's already moving on to the gold on the right as well. But since this is basically wide open, he could be doing a good job by trying to wall a bit. You can see right now Kataskopos just basically waiting for his opponent to go for that gold, but he doesn't need it all that much. And maybe, just maybe, he could be dropping a Migdol exactly into this choke point and next to gold. So basically about here, drop a Migdol. That would be a very good spot. Very good spot to protect everything in here. And drop a wall here, a short one, and you would be absolutely impenetrable all across the map with just one way through, which could be basically guarded by proxy by the TC, or maybe just pure wall, or maybe even just another Migdol. Anyway, trying to move forward, it should be fairly easy for him to get through, unless actually original Jester notices it's gonna be repairing it. So far doesn't seem so, as of course there is a bit of an engagement on the left, and fortress attempted to be built to protect the gold, and yet again protect basically the way inside his base and inside the enemy base as well. So this is going to be a very important battle in here. God powers have been basically used. Original just left with his fire, which you cannot cast all that much, as it would stop the production of the building of the fortress, of course. So all those camels are actually going to be quite useful, because we still don't see any upgrades. Normal Toxots, normal Hippicons from original Jester, and that's also the reason why he's actually losing. Because if he was having medium Hippicons, he would be able to fight those cavalry guys quite easily. Not really. I don't really think that with the spearmen together. But with the Toxots he's having... Yeah, he's basically just missing the medium upgrades. If he had them, and that's something that actually Greeks should be doing very fast, especially when the Egyptian is already in the heroic age, he would be able to fight on par with him and not really lose units, and of course in effect resources needlessly. So some first elephant going to be making an appearance. Probably there are going to be a few more, as of course there is going to be siege works being made, and so far not really an extra building in there, as the pharaoh is just basically walking around in here. Not really empowering anything all that much, but he's probably gonna be coming somewhere here, trying to support some Migdol build or something like that. In the meantime, oh, aggressive Migdol, okay. As he got through the wall, he's going to be denying the TC at least for a moment. Not really anything significant. He killed the villager, and that's about it. But still, that was at least something, and it buys him time to actually try to finish this Migdol, which might really be happening unless those horses are just going to be coming out of the base right now. With the... right now it's not gonna be enough. Or, he's not empowering, come on. Come on, this could be stopped. No! Yeah, empower, exactly, yeah. For a moment I was actually thinking that those 4 Hippicons might be able to stop this right now. They are finally mediums, but they aren't. And it's of course going to be a pretty huge problem right about now for original Jester, because he's going to be under attack from both sides, and that's gonna be very hard for him to actually deal with, even though he's attempting a bit of raiding. Hut is on top of that with those camels, and they will be putting those guys to rest, to the eternal slumber under the ground very soon, together with the TC of course. So not really any kind of problem for him. So first elephant, so far not really anymore. Building Migdol with 1 villager, that's very brave. It's probably going to be punished very soon by the Petrobolos, even though he seems to be aiming for the TC, and that's very nicely placed wall, as it's going to be protecting of course the Petrobolos, and it's going to be harder for his opponent to get rid of it. Chariotage is not going to be that effective, of course, against that. And this is a bit of an issue right about now for Hut. Even though he's probably going to be trying to push there, he needs some extra siege first. And it seems like that he will be coming there also. So let's see. How is it gonna work in? This is actually right now looking very good for original Jester, and it's solely because he got the upgrades. He's right now having medium Toxots and medium Hippicons, and you can see what huge difference it is actually making in the battles. The first battles without those, he was absolutely losing. Right about now, he is pushing forward, even though some camels are missing. He's making up for that with some mercenary cavalry. Yeah, this seems very well going for him, and the DC is probably gonna be toast. Migdol not finished, and pretty big problems right about now coming for Hut, even though he's going to be trying to do something of the same ilk to original Jester, as of course. Yes, he's well aware of it, but will it be enough? I don't really think so necessarily, because already he's sending some units in there. Unfortunately for him, he will have to send units elsewhere as well, and that's of course where the strength of the Egyptians with the mercenaries is going to be coming in, because right now I'm kinda thinking that Hut could be just sending all those units through top basically to fight there, and leave mercenaries through bottom to basically deal with this nonsenses, and he's going to be quite fine. But of course, careful about this one, as the TC will be needing masons, which it doesn't have. At least the fortified TC is there, and he needs to somehow get through the walls as soon as possible, because the Petroboi otherwise are going to be a bit of a problem. Hey, proud Arab. Well, as for my age, I'm in my 30s, so yeah, I'm definitely not the youngest anymore. But it kinda explains why I was actually able to play Age of Empires, Age of Mythology and such 20 years ago. So, yeah, there comes my experience with the franchise and all the games. And it's right now coming through with all the streaming and such. So, got through the walls, so potentially you can get even on those Petrobola and whatnot. Medium Prodromos, that's not a good unit, because it's not going to be countering anything all that much. Epicons would be much better, even against the Camel Ray, because it's not upgraded at all, and it seems like at the same time though, that original Jester will be having kinda not that hard time defending, especially if this fortress is gonna be coming up. Right now I think that HUD definitely needs to upgrade into the next age, into Mythical, as he's right now trying to put up a monument in the middle, but he's not ISIS, so it's not gonna do anything for him. Not really sure what's the point of that. Maybe he just has villages there, so he was trying to build it. But at any rate, you can see the mercenaries, what kind of difference are they making, as they are pushing the opponent back and allowing, of course, for the shenanigans on the right, but unfortunately for him, original Jester has been able to finish with the fortress, and that will mean Petrobolai and trying to get rid of the siege works and the Migdol stronghold. Otherwise, still moving on the gold, having the trade, which probably means that he's going to be ready for Mythical Age, but this trade route is kind of not ideal at all. You can see this coming all the way around and whatnot. This is not going to be great for him, as he has captured the back TC, of course, as well. So both are at 3 TCs, as it seems like that HUD will be pushing forward. They'll be pushing ever forward and trying to make something happen in there. And this is basically the problem with Prodromos. They are having absolutely crap Pierce Shield. You can see that 10%. So that's basically nothing. So those Chariot Archers are just going to be absolutely shredding them. And they definitely are. You can see how fast they are killing them. They just don't stand a single chance. So Prodromos, please don't make them. Even against Camels. Because Hippicons are just plain better. As far as Greeks go. And especially, of course, when you are Poseidon. So that goes doubles in there. So still moving forward. This Migdol is going to be very important. And I'm really thinking that this game is going to be decided who gets first Mythic, because the Mythical God powers are going to be very strong for both gods. Especially the Earthquake for the Poseidon is going to be super strong. As we are looking some militias getting out of the destroyed buildings from the destroyed fortress, unfortunately for Jester. But he does have enough stables in there and enough archer ranges. He's pretty much ready for anything, and he's just spamming units exactly where he needs to. And well, could be spending some resources on heavy already. But yeah, apparently doesn't think so. But at least copper shields, that's good. At least copper shields in there from the buildings fire. Whole baseline right now for HUD. That's potentially quite dangerous. But here the Prodromos definitely makes sense. Against elephants they are good. They are not how bad. You can see how fast they're actually killing the Eddy. And they are going to be able to continue with Migdol Stronghold. And apparently he doesn't have... First, he doesn't have shooting under himself, and he doesn't have crenellations, right? Yes, he doesn't. Against Poseidon, you basically should be going for crenellations absolutely every time, because the horses are going to be omnipresent. And with all those towers right now coming right in the middle, well, almost right in the middle, this is basically just the start of the blue base. This is gonna be a bit of a problem, because not only mercenaries are making appearances in these battles, but of course the towers are going to be another huge push forward. And even though original Jester is trying to do the same, this push seems to be quite good from the Egyptian, and will be very hard for original Jester to stop, unless he's gonna be stalling and going to be pushing forward through here. But he's exactly doing that. Mercenaries apparently going to the other side of the map, but he's right now going to be looking at siege works, barracks. He's going to be spam of spearmen pretty soon, I think. And is he going to be building blocking? Yes, he is. But I don't think he actually blocked here. I'm fairly worried he might not have. Yes, he didn't. It definitely looked like that. Oh, that was actually such a brilliant idea by HUD. This is something you see very often in Age of Empires, not so often in Age of Mythology, basically path blocking and whatnot. You don't see it that often even in expert games. It is used, but yeah, definitely could be used a whole lot more. But yeah, he didn't really make the correct choice in there. He just could have placed it a bit behind, and he would have been able to protect these villages, but he didn't, and that means that he's gonna be losing a few trade caravans in there, together with villages and some other extra economy. But it's going to be about it, as of course These units are gonna be killed fairly soon. The Migdol is still standing, and the siege workshops as well, as he's still inevitably pushing on the left and going forward, ever forward, with the help of all the mercenaries. So pretty big issues right now for original Jester. He still does have decent defense. He does have the towers. This one unfortunately unfinished, but the fortress and the town center are going to be hard to take down. 3000, he's having masons. Yes, he's having masons. But 45 TC would be a bit better, of course, at this stage. Also for the population limit, but he definitely needs to... Thank you very much. All I need to do is just ask for it, and it's going to be coming here. And well, he should be careful about basically spamming just the Prodromos. He should be basically like... just one Prodromos and 2 Hippicons. I think he should be basically doing it. I'm not sure if he's having problems with gold. He shouldn't be. He's having trade market already up. So it seems to be everything going alright. But he's of course running out of the gold in there. Still it's available. Apparently Red is not going to be noticing that all that much, as he's still pushing forward through this battlefield and also through the right one. Still trying to push into another fortress that has been built. And yep, still nobody coming into the Mythical Age. We are already at 25 minutes and a very prolonged Heroic Age battle in here, as it is going to be prolonged unless somebody gets into Mythic, because Mythic, that's where the important stuff would be happening, especially for the Egyptians, the catapults. I think basically if he can get the catapults, then it's gonna get increasingly hard for original Jester to defend. Especially when he could be placing them about here and shooting at this fortress in there. It will be fairly easy for him. And yeah, it's really looking pretty tough for him. Even though from the fortress he's gonna get a ton of militia. So this siege tower is gonna die. It's still not going to be enough, and it's a bit of a problem that the fortress is gonna disappear. Here you can see how many you are getting. About 6 from a fortress. And that's not a bad unit. You can see the stats on it. Very good unit indeed. Very good unit indeed in there. And so of course right now helping and potentially even gonna allow to go into the Migdol. And I kind of think that he should, with the infantry to attack it. Horses kill this, and here we go with Horus. Tornado is gonna go on the left, exactly as it should be, trying to get rid of the fortified TC and the fortress. And it seems that TC could be dying. Yes, it is. It's gonna die, and the fortress is gonna die as well, or not? No, it's not. It's not, but the TC is much more important because it is right now going to be a huge outing of the population limit. And of course, with all the buildings already being right next to the TC ceasefire, yes, that's going to be the only thing that is gonna save him. And that's something that unfortunately I think Hunt could have expected. He could have basically stolen the TC for himself. I think he should have attempted it at least, but it doesn't really matter all that much because of course he bought himself also time to repair the Migdol on the right. He might be trying to be annoying and drop some walls in here to basically prevent walling from his opponent. That's something that he could be doing, but not exactly sure if he's gonna. If he's gonna really get there. And well, one Prodromos, one Spearman. Prodromos 3 hit points. You can kinda guess who's gonna win this duel. Yeah, that's gonna be just 1 minute in there. And looking up, for example, at some economy upgrades. How's it in there? Bowsaw, irrigation, and shaft mine. Whereas for blue, seems to be kind of similar. Yeah, it's basically similar. They are just missing the last upgrade on gold gathering, which is not really useful all that much. For the Egyptian, probably, yeah, he's still gathering a ton of gold from that. As the militias are just now coming for the gold mine, but they could be successful because this army is definitely not big enough from Hut to actually deal with it. So you will need to produce something a bit more durable. And otherwise he's gonna lose a bit of villages in there. Right now, finally something. Yeah, this is bad. This is actually very bad for him. There are some units coming here. He's gonna lose tons of villages and nothing is coming in. Finally, at least some spearmen who are still medium, but it is good line of upgrades from the blacksmith, bronze, and copper. That's not bad. And right now he's going to be able to at least protect this a bit. And still, a few extra villages are gonna die. In the meantime, moving to the left, we are looking at finally some catapults making an appearance, which will result, even through the terrible spam of all this. Oh, earthquake. Is he gonna kill some of his own actually though? Oh yeah, he is. He's killing his own. He unfortunately casted not really that well. He should have casted a bit back because he could have killed, I think, this Migdol as well. Which unfortunately didn't happen. But at least he got rid of this most dangerous one. Another one is gonna be rebuilt right of the bat in there, but it will give him some extra time to potentially establish a few more towers and maybe even repair some buildings in there. But at this stage, if I were actually blue, I would be maybe trying to spam as many buildings as possible and basically bank on getting militias from them. As original Jester, or rather as Hub, would be trying to take down the buildings, I think, even inadvertently, by the catapults, I think, and that's something that would be really helping him, because he needs to get a leg up on some population limit, because of course the mercenaries are always going to be a huge issue. Heavy cavalry already. Chariot archers are also heavy, whereas Hippicons are unfortunately just still normal. Even the baseline of upgrades not full, missing the attack in there, but it doesn't look all that great right now for original Jester, and unfortunately for him, he doesn't have any tricks up his sleeve anymore. And since he's under attack on the right as well, with the wall right now in there, in pretty good placement, well, unfortunately though the Chimera is gonna be a bit of an issue. Is there some priest or pharaoh goes by? I don't think so. I think the pharaoh is fighting on the bottom. Yeah, he's in there, trying to build all the migdals in here, but Helipoli coming in. But unfortunately, yet again, TC is gonna be down for the second time quite soon, after the next salve, it seems like. Yeah, right now it's gonna be coming down. And that will yet again result into problematic population limit, and still without the upgrades. Whereas the upgrades for the Egyptian are coming up, you can see that he's fully bronzed right about now. It's going to be even up to villages to try and get rid of the catapults and, yet again, the militias. And to be effective and at least helping a bit. Yeah, this TC is probably right now not going to be allowed to come back. Basically, till the end of the game, I would be thinking. These catapults should be really getting rid of it soon, if he's paying enough attention. Well, he could have killed this tower with the 5 hit points. He definitely could have with some last hit in there, because of course the TC is not going anywhere all that much. So yeah, as that, whereas on right, he's not really concentrating all that much. Apparently, Chimera is gonna die just through the fire of the big old stronghold if she's going to be moving around a bit, which she is. And yep, even though villagers are gonna die from it, it's nothing all that major. Well, 20 hit points, and he doesn't have still shooting under himself, so he still potentially could be losing the migdal in there and giving some opportunity to original Jester. But of course, we mustn't forget that right about now original Jester is having his trade route compromised almost. You can see that the donkeys are very close by to the battlefield, and once these towers are gonna come down, it's going to be pretty much it, because I don't think that original Jester will be having much more fight in him after that happens. Some Hippaspists, which unfortunately in this battle don't make really all that much sense. I think that he's making them because he's basically not having enough gold. I think that would be the reason why he's actually resorting to them, because there are not really any spearmen or whatnot that he could be killing. So they're not really effective. Let's just check, for example, in Drupal's game. How's it looking with the gold? Yeah, you can see that blue is absolutely out of gold. Even though he had enough in here just a moment ago, he's going to be running out, and that probably the spike was from selling something. I would be expecting that he's having tons of wood, because he's not spending wood at all. You can see he's just basically building a few archers. Right now he's switching into at least some peltas. But with peltas fighting against camels and elephants, that's unfortunately not going to be working, so this is probably going to be very hard for original Jester to come back from, even though he did what he could by trying to spam the towers and stem the tide. Unfortunately, the advantage for the Egyptian is already too big right at this stage, and with the towers still coming up from him, he's making sure that this TC is not going to be coming into original Jester's hands in this game anymore. Now, Catapult, of course, is going to be trying to get rid of the towers, but still, it does result in still the militias. Still in the militias. And if he could be produced even at this stage, I would be maybe spamming even just, I don't know, grenadiers or whatnot. Even though they give like 1 or 2 militias, maybe just 1, I'm not exactly sure right about now. It still will be something. And it will be some kind of extra unit production before, or rather above, the population limit that he's allowed to make. So yeah, that's something to actually take into account. And maybe some way to stay alive a bit as a Poseidon. But of course, this is looking quite inevitable right now, as he's still inching forward on the right side. The Helipol is trying to get rid of the Migdol stronghold, and apparently, new Chimera in here has been built for him. But yeah, if the army is going to be only Chimera together with Hippolyta, it's probably not gonna do enough against this Migdol that is still annoying and unfortunately keeping original Jester busy on this right side. So, the biggest threat in the fortress is right now down, so even though that is a significant influx of militias, it's of course going to be also allowing all those camels to get into much more harm's way, because of course there is less harm in actuality. So they can advance forward, but they are not going to be punished for that all that much, as of course right now Hut is hoping to move forward, trying to build the Migdol right on top of his opponent, but at this stage he might just as well try to go for the TC, because why bother with the Migdol anymore? He does have the towers, he does have the Migdol in there, so let's just try to make sure that it's not going to be contested for you at all. So this seems like basically one of the last desperate pushes to get for the TC. Yeah, of course it's going to be very easy for the catapults to stop it. There's yet again going to be attempt at the Migdol, and well, maybe after that he's going to be coming for the TC, but apparently not before, as it's going to be all up to the Chemos, and these 3 Migdols are just enough to produce enough chariot archers and Chemos, and maybe even some elephants here and there to push ever forward and deny the TC. Looking right now back to the back, or rather back to the top, as Hippolyta is gonna die for her cause apparently, being stabbed to death by the spearman. It's really kinda just waiting for some catapults and whatnot to try and annoy the TC. I kinda think that's something that he should do, because if he can even tie a few Hippicons or a few whatever from the battlefield at the bottom to the top, it's already going to be making things even more easy than they already are for him, and it would be just helping him to push ever forward and just basically confirm by stealing the TC that the game is going to be done for him. Yeah, but it's definitely nice that original Jester is not giving up, waiting for some potential mistake that his opponent could be making. But unfortunately, I don't see what kind of mistake would it be that could be allowing him to come back. Nice upgrades, finally. Almost full bronze, whereas opponent is probably going to be near to irons, as he is. You can see he's already iron male. Going to be getting the extra upgrades sometime soon, I would be guessing. So that's towers coming down, all of them. As Migdol is going to be coming up very soon, or not, as the Helipolis is still going to be keeping it down and not letting it come up. And finally going to be coming for the TC. So far it's just one villager, as he's hoping that he can actually finish with the Migdol, but I don't really think that he can all that easily. He should be sending a few extra units, like for example those idols, to try and kill it, and right now he's gonna have to repair soon, unless he's gonna lose it. Yeah, he should have repaired, but still, this other place is one pain in DA for him. And finally some Chemos are going to be noticing that and trying to kill it. So the inevitability coming up. He's moving ever forward right now next to the trade route, trying to kill it and disrupt it altogether. And well, definitely a nice fight from the blue player, but unfortunately right now with the TC it's pretty much done deal, and this Helipolis, even though he could be building a few more, it's just not gonna do it, because the population advantage is just too big, and it is a GG right now, and Hut is on his home map, very well chosen home map, and very nice spawn of Alfheim for him, inching into the lead, and in this best of 5 he's taken the 1-0 score after the first game. So nicely played. Nicely played, and he was able to outmuscle his opponent, and it has to be said, it was mostly through the mercenaries. The mercenaries were basically the most important unit in the push through the middle, and they really did make a difference. A quite significant one in there. Without them, I kind of think that original Jester might be able to defend a bit better. But they cost him a lot of resources on that units and such, but yeah. That's how it goes with Egyptians, of course. So let's check how's it gonna look in post-game. Better economy for Jester, but total score is going for Hut, as he did win military and improvements, of course. Very good eco, but of course there's the difference. 1800,000 more gold, 15,000 less wood, so it's more or less quid pro quo. Not much of a difference, but of course the military count 501, which does count militias, I think. And unit skill just 347, that's really confirming the inefficiency of mostly the Prodromos, to be honest. That wasn't a unit that should have been made too often. Hippicons would be doing a whole lot better. But well, next time I guess. GG.